we're ready for a motion.
Motion to receive the meeting minutes from the June 6th, no, whatever the last meeting was, 20th, sorry, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Cast your votes. And it's received. Cindy, we got some continuance requests and looks like one withdrawal.
So we have item number 22, case number 15693 is going to be deferred till August 1st. Item number 23, case number 15688, deferred till August 15th. Item number 24, 15690, deferred till August 15th. And item number 25, 15634 has been withdrawn.
If there's anybody here on those items, you're welcome to stay. But I think we're ready for a motion on the deferrals.
Okay. Motion to defer case number 15693 to the August 1st, 2024 meeting, to defer case number 15688 and case number 15690 to the August 15th, 2024 meeting, and withdraw case number 15634.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
And then I have two new continuances.
Okay, those three items are continued. So Cindy, what are the other ones?
Okay, our new continuance is item number 10, case number 15684, a request till August 1st. And item number 13, case number 15687, deferred till August 1st.
Okay, and again, if you're here on either of those, you're welcome to stay. Otherwise, they're going to be deferred. Ready for a motion?
Motion to continue case number 15684 and case number 15687 to the August 1st, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to defer those two items. Cast your votes. All right, those two items are also deferred. Are there any applicants or anybody in the public who wants to request a continuance deferral on a different item? We don't have a consent docket, so Cindy, I think we're ready for number one.
We have item number 1, case number 15683 is a request of Kenethia Townsend and Shamil Johnson for a variance to lot size requirements for a residential mobile home in the R1 Single Family District located at 4213 Bosworth Avenue.
Okay. Okay. Give us your name and address and tell us about your application, please.
My name is Kenethia Townsend. My current address is 3908 Northwest 56th Place, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73112.
Thank you.
I am here today asking for a variance for the 5-acre row in Spencer. I have currently been trying to get a modular home brought out there, which I have been approved for. I'm just waiting on a closing date and to see if this has been approved. I've been working very hard these last 3 to 5 years, clearing trees and just trying to pay taxes and keep it in the family is what I've really been trying to do. And I'm finally almost there. And I'm just, I want to make my grandma and my granddaddy proud. It's been in the family since 1969.
Questions, comments from the board? Did you see there were a couple of protests? Have you seen those?
I have not.
Just a minute. Oh, there we go. Sarah, would you let her have, please? Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
Just a couple of comments from me. It's zoned R1 currently, right?
Yes,
And so in R1, a mobile home needs to have a minimum of 5 acres
yes,
by the zoning, right?
yes,
And I did drive the area. There are mobile homes splattered throughout that area,
yes.
but they're probably been there for a really long time. So for me, I'm not in favor of giving a variance for a mobile home. Because
Can I say something?
just
It's
so
gonna
far-
be it's sitting on a base. It's not gonna be on wheels. It's gonna be on a base. If that makes a difference, what they call it.
Right, I know it's kind of crazy about just how they call it a mobile home or what, but it's built to a different standard
Okay.
than a normal home because of it is a mobile home. You could do a modular home on a foundation and be able to do that. It's just that to be able to do a mobile home in a R1.
Maybe I'm calling it the wrong thing, but it is a modular manufactured home. It's not a mobile home, if I'm saying it correctly. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, nobody signed up to speak on this one. Is there anybody who wants to address the board on this application? Come on up and give us your name and address.
My name is Nonika Allen. I'm here on the behalf of two addresses, 4316 North June Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73112, and 3628 Northwest 43rd Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73112. I'm sorry, but I did hear the young lady speak, and when she spoke initially, she did say it was a modular home. I did hear that. I just want to speak on that behalf.
Okay,
That is it for me.
thank you. Okay, anybody else want to address the board on this application? Okay, anything else from the board?
I guess, Don, did you say you would be in favor of a modular home?
Yeah, so a modular home is built to the same standard as a normal home. A mobile home is not. So the same building codes in a modular home is built on a concrete foundation. A mobile home is built to a different standard. It actually is tagged like a mobile vehicle and then brought to the property. But it's not built to the same standards. And that's the reasoning between you could put a modular home on a single-family lot, and you can't put a mobile home on a normal single-family home or lot. So I just need to make sure that it is a mobile home or it is a modular home.
It's gonna be a modular home that sits on a base. It's not gonna move anywhere.
Right,
Concrete base,
but concrete footings or actual concrete foundation?
concrete foundation.
Because the application says mobile home.
It's not a mobile home, sir.
Sarah Welch, Planning Department. The reason for that is our use unit kind of combines the two words together. So the use that's conditionally allowed in the R1 district is manufactured kind of mobile home residential, and it gives a definition of what that means. And it typically means that that for this use unit, it's assumed that the mobile home would retain mobility, that the undercarriage and axles remain attached to the unit. And so I think that use unit is the one that's conditional in R1, and the condition is, one of the conditions is that it has 5 acres.
If it remains, if the wheels remain under the trailer, if it's set on a concrete foundation, the wheels go away, then it can be on an R1 lot? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think our Cindy, you can help me. Our code does not
Differentiate.
differentiate enough.
It just says mobile home residential.
The other one we have is a manufactured home, which has a different definition and is not allowed by right in R1.
So if it's truly a modular home, she doesn't need a variance. Okay. But she
Maybe we
still has
should continue this and have plan review her plans to make sure they would permit it as not a mobile home that requires the variance or to the lot size.
Or I'm on board to do it conditional upon making sure that it has a permanent foundation. That language shows up in financing a lot, which basically suggests that the home can't be moved. The axles have to be removed. It can't be mobile. And I know there's a lot of nuanced differences in the mobile home versus modular and even manufactured. But I know that that's the threshold that's been set kind of on a national level in terms of financing, is whether or not the axles have been removed, it received a permanent foundation, and then the third is that the title has been exchanged for a deed. And so I'm willing to, if those conditions have been met, I'm willing to vote to approve it.
As long as it's verified. I believe that would be what you need to do, is condition it and then based on the permit issuance.
Do you want to propose it? I'm just not, I want to make sure, I don't want to mess it up, so I'll let someone else move and state the wording. Variance.
I'd like to make a motion to approve case number 15683 conditionally, provided that it does not have, the axle has been removed as a permanent foundation, and that as opposed to a title, it has a deed, no different than any other real property that we have, on the basis that it meets the requirements for a variance.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for conditional approval. Cast your votes. You won.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We already voted.
What?
Did it vote?
Yeah, 4-0.
Okay.
Approve.
So we have item number 2, case number 15675 is a renewal application of J. Gallaghy of Gallagly Services to allow at 1312 Northeast 11th Street.
Hi, yes. My name is Jay Gallagly. This is my wife, Cody Gallagly. We're here to finalize our application for the home sharing license.
Questions or comments from the board? And there's nobody signed up to speak on this one. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on this application? Okay, anything?
There is a code violation, the code violation is that you just you were operating without a license because your license expired in October, I think.
That's correct. That's my fault. I didn't put it in my calendar correctly.
So I'd just like to make a couple of adjustments to the application. And just for the record, but the maximum number of guests are 6. Quiet hours are from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m.
Correct.
And then I'd like to put a maximum number of vehicles which 3 vehicles, I think, can fit in the driveway. And so,
That's correct. One behind the gate and two in
Two in
front of the
front.
gate. There should be
Yep.
plenty of room for that.
and no on-street parking, and then for a term of 1 year.
And I just have a quick question. Has there already been a staff review on the number of home shares on the block, or is that something that we need to be verifying with
I don't
each
think we
app-
have to worry about it yet.
Sarah Welch, Planning Department. For you and for anyone who was not aware, the City Council passed an ordinance on Tuesday prohibiting the acceptance of new applications for new home shares, not renewals, unless you could still apply for a new home share if the number of special exceptions on the block, which is defined in the ordinance, did not exceed 10% of special exceptions on the block. Now, that affects new applications, so we will no longer take in new special exception applications if they don't meet that criteria. You, as the board, will likely see cases that were not affected by the ordinance until, we think, September, because it's based on when the application was received. So we're not calculating that for you yet.
Thank you.
So does that, just to clear up, that's effective going forward from Tuesday? So no new applications from,
It's effective now, but these would have already been in before they voted on that.
Any applications that were received prior to Tuesday are just in the queue and being worked as normal.
okay,
The city council's ordinance was passed with emergency, so it took effect on Tuesday.
okay.
Anything else from the board? Guess we're ready for a motion then.
I just want to note that, please put it on your calendar, because but for the fact that it's been expired since October, we generally allow a 3-year exception. So we try to increase that so you're not having to come back every year. So
For a
definitely,
renewal.
for a renewal.
Yeah, and that's why I was confused. I've got other licenses and they usually mail a notice. Is just why I kind of didn't put it on my calendar, because I
Okay.
always get something in the mail, but this is a little bit different process, so I should have known to put it on my calendar, so
Okay.
100% my fault.
All right, motion to approve case number 15675 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions with the modification that maximum number of vehicles shall be 3, no on-street parking, and for a term of 1 year.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Item number 3, case number 15676 is a renewal application for special exception of Jeremy Howe on behalf of Abby Denton and Hunter Denton to allow home sharing located at 735 Northwest 30th Street, Apartment 5.
Jeremy Howell, address at 36 West Memorial Road, Oklahoma City. Just here for a number of renewals. This first one is 735 Northwest 30th, apartment number 5.
Any questions or comments from the board?
This one's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath?
Yeah, all these apartments are 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Yes, sir.
Okay. And so what I'd like to do is make just for the record, a couple of modifications to the application. And that would be, it already has a maximum of 3 guests, but I'd like to change quiet hours from 10 PM to 8 AM.
Okay.
Maximum of 1 vehicle and a 3-year exception.
And I currently reviewed these, but an hour before coming here, and they all currently say that. Yeah, on the actual listing itself.
I don't have anybody signed up to speak on this one. Does anybody want to address the board on this application? Okay. We're probably ready for a motion then.
How many apartments are in total in that unit?
What's that?
How many total apartments are in that area?
Oh, there's 12 in that complex itself. There's 4 2-bedrooms, and there's 6 1-bedrooms.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, there's 8. There's 8 1-bedrooms. That long section, you see that picture, the bottom one, those are all 1-bedrooms, and the wing just north of that is is the 2 bedrooms. There's just 4 in that one complex that faces Paseo.
Just wanted it for my knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many short-term leases were there in both units? 'Cause-
That building's half and half exactly right now.
yeah, and the other one, the other building?
It's just got one. It's gonna have one. Already got approved last time, but we haven't.
That's what I was
we haven't
thinking.
even furnished it yet. It was just a future prep thing. I don't get that unit till next month.
Yeah. And this, it goes to, for me, we're gonna make some adjustments to the current ordinance, and
Yeah.
so this actual situation is part of what we're
Okay.
gonna work through.
I guess my question is, knowing that, do you want to do a 3-year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still good with 3-year on a renewal. Because I think that,
But planning going forward after 3 years, we'll probably have to scale that back some. I don't care. It's just going forward in like 3 more years per se. Like if I come back and start doing it this
as
point,
long as you've been approved right now and continue the license timely, you can keep it,
Okay.
right? According to the new ordinance.
That's what I understood too. But it's,
Right, well, and there's a lot of discussion to that.
Just to clarify, the moratorium that's in effect right now is a 180-day temporary moratorium that will either expire when the new ordinance, which is currently being reviewed, it'll go to Planning Commission and come to this body for a recommendation, and ultimately be adopted by City Council. So that would replace whatever the moratorium rules are. So currently, the moratorium does not affect renewals.
Right. And what I was saying is currently what we've seen in the written form of the new ordinance, it really doesn't affect renewals either.
That is how I recall that also.
Yeah. So keep your license up to date and your renewal.
Yep. Okay, I guess we're ready for a motion.
All right, motion to approve case number 15676 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for a special exception with the following modifications: quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Maximum number of vehicles shall be 1, and for a term of 3 years.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, cast your votes. You're approved.
next one's just unit number 10. And all these are all the 1 bedrooms.
So we have item number 4, case number 15677, a renewal application for special exception of Jeremy Howell on behalf of Abby Denton and Hunter Dinner to allow home sharing, 735 Northwest 30th Street, apartment number 10.
I assume your remarks on this one are the same as the last.
They're identical, yes.
All right.
And the
Same thing.
the variant, or the changes to the application would be the same.
Does anybody want to speak on this application? I don't have anybody signed up. Okay, I think we're ready for a motion then.
Motion to approve case number 15677 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions with the modifications that quiet hours shall be from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., 1 vehicle maximum, and 3-year exception.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Cast your votes. And you're approved.
Item number 5, case number 15678 is a renewal application for special exception of Jeremy Howell on behalf of Abby Denton and Hunter Denton to allow home sharing located at 735 Northwest 30th Street, apartment number 9.
Yeah, this is just unit number 9.
Same thing. Does anybody want to address the board on this application? I don't have anybody signed up. Okay, I think we're ready for a motion then.
Motion to approve case number 15678 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions with the modifications that quiet hours shall be from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., 1 vehicle max, and for a term of 3 years.
Second.
Motion and a second. Cast your votes. And you're approved.
Item number 6, case number 15679 is a renewal application of Jeremy Howell on behalf of Abby Denton and Hunter Denton to allow home sharing at 735 Northwest 30th, apartment number 6.
And nobody signed up on this one. Is there anybody wants to address the board on this application? Questions, comments?
Same
Thank you.
adjustments.
I think we're ready for a motion then.
Motion to approve case number 15679 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions with the modifications that quiet hours shall be from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., one vehicle maximum, and 3-year term.
Second.
A motion and a second, so cast your votes. And you're approved.
Item number 7, case number 15680, renewal application of Jeremy Howell on behalf of Gerald and Kimberly Wilson to allow home sharing at 1702 Northeast 8th Street.
Yeah, these next three are all they're one half of a duplex on the same street. 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and they're all the same too. They're just spread out on that one street.
Okay, I don't have anybody signed up to speak on this application. Does anybody want to address the board? Any other questions or comments?
I just had a couple of questions. Are the garages,
Yeah, they have 2-car garages.
and they're used?
Yes,
So you
sir.
can use them?
Yeah, they're open.
So with that, I'd like to make a maximum of 4 vehicles,
Yes, absolutely.
no on-street parking. Quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m.
It's 4 bedrooms on each side.
Yes, sir. 3 up and the master bedrooms downstairs.
3-year exception.
Yes, sir.
Ready for a motion?
No one here.
Nobody signed up and nobody volunteered to speak on this application.
All right. Motion to approve case number 15680 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions with the modifications that quiet hours shall be from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Maximum number of vehicles shall be 4, 3-year term, no on-street parking.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. And you're approved.
Item number 8, case number 15681 is renewal application of Jeremy Howell on behalf of Gerald and Kimberly Wilson to allow home sharing at 1710 Northeast 8th Street.
And again, nobody signed up to speak. Is there anybody that wants to address the board? Questions or comments?
Same modifications on this one with quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. and maximum of 4 vehicles, no on-street parking, 3-year exception. The owner of the duplex owns both sides, right? I remember you coming back the first time, the long-term lease in one side and then short-term
Yeah,
lease
they
in the other.
long-term lease one and I short-term lease the other one. Yes, sir.
I think we're ready for a motion then.
No one's here to speak?
No.
Okay.
Nobody signed up either.
All right, just making sure. Motion to approve case number 15681 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions with the modification that quiet hours shall be from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Maximum number of vehicles shall be 4, a term of 3 years, and no on-street parking.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so cast your votes. You're approved.
Item number 9, case number 15682 is a renewal application of Jeremy Howell on behalf of Kimberly Watson Bypass Trust to allow home sharing at 1712 Northeast 8th Street.
Okay. Does anybody want to address the board on this one? Nobody signed up.
Same modifications on this one as the last one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If there aren't any other questions or comments, I think we're ready for a motion.
All right, motion to approve case number 15682 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions with the modifications that quiet hours shall be from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Maximum number of vehicles shall be 4, a term of 3 years, and no on-street parking.
Second.
Okay. Cast your votes. We got a motion and a second. You're approved.
Thank you, guys.
Item number 10 was deferred till August 1st. Item number 11, case number 15685, is an application of John Kloss and Samantha Kloss to allow home sharing locating at 4728 Doe Run Drive.
John Klaus? Samantha? Oh, there we go.
Hello, my name is John Klaus. My address is 1203 Mary Ellen.
Okay. This is a new one. Tell us a little bit about your application.
Yeah, we just have a Airbnb right there at that address. Me and my wife, we're just trying to get the special exemption for not a primary residence.
Is this a 4-bedroom home?
It's a 3-bedroom with an office. It does have a bed in the office, so it has a day bed.
How do you get to 10 people?
What is it again?
How do you get to 10 people?
So we have a king size, a queen size. We have a room with a bunk bed that has 2 full-size beds. And then we have the day bed that's a full-size bed. So we could have, a couple families and kids.
Are you aware of the protest? Did you get a copy of that?
Yes, sir.
The next door neighbor?
Yes.
You read through that?
Yes, sir, I did. Me and my wife did.
Do you agree with the,
We do not. We've taken really good care of the place. We haven't had any, incidents, big parties, any kind of police called out to the residents. We've got hundreds of 5-star reviews from guests that stayed there. It's just a small business for me and my wife and 4 kids. I mean, we're not like a big company or anything like that, but we do take good care of the place.
you live in Oklahoma City?
We live in Pampa, Texas.
Okay, and you have no property manager?
We do, yes, sir.
You have a property manager for the property?
Yes, sir. We have housekeepers that come there, every time someone leaves, then we have someone that watches over the place for us.
And how long have you been operating this as a short-term rental?
We started in, I believe it was March of 2022, I believe. So we thought we fell under Yukon City. We didn't even realize we fell under Oklahoma City because I had researched, what kind of permits and stuff I needed. I had no idea we fell under Oklahoma City permits for zoning and stuff like that. That's why we never, applied for anything or did anything with it. We didn't know anything about Oklahoma City. I mean, I knew Oklahoma City required one. I just thought we fell under Yukon, Oklahoma, because we were in Yukon. And from the research that I saw, I couldn't see any kind of permits or anything I needed for Yukon, Oklahoma, as far as I knew.
Do your neighbors have your contact information now?
Say it again.
Do the neighbors have your contact information now?
The original neighbors that we had, I had talked to them, and I did have their contact information. The one neighbor that did file the complaint or whatever they put on there, I do not have theirs. But they could reach us through Airbnb because that's how we've had someone reach us out before. But the neighbor before that, we had good relations with them. I talked to her. She said if we ever needed anything at all, that we could call her. And I told her if you had any problem with a guest or anything like that, we will take care of it. So.
Okay, these people sent an email, right? At least we have their email address.
Yeah, and Sarah signed up to speak.
Oh, okay.
So I've got one signed up.
Well, let's hear from her.
Okay, Sarah, come on in.
Oh, excuse me.
Hello, I'm Sarah King, and I live at 4724 Doe Run Drive, which is the house directly south of 4728 Doe Run Drive. I did send over an email with an attachment for all of you to view of the opposition for this home share rental, or the exception for it. If at this time I can use my brief 5 minutes to just give some additional information for you to make a sound decision, I would appreciate it.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. That opposition letter was upon receiving in the mail what you guys had mentioned, which was his application. Once we received the board's notice a few weeks ago, while the exception has been up for approval, the owners have continued to use and operate this as a home share every week. It is my understanding that if you do not have a license, you are not able to operate. During the city council meeting that I'm aware of on Tuesday, which had the moratorium, which this does not apply to, there was Councilman Hinkle from Ward 5 that made a very great statement that resonated with me as a paying resident who moved here from Phoenix, Arizona last year. And he said, in all honesty, the people who show up to get permits for Airbnb got caught. He proceeded to say, and I quote, "They're not here because they're trying to do the right thing. They're here because someone told them they had to be," which was me after a year of non-confrontational with the renters. As you can see in my note, there has been one time that I felt uncomfortable approaching them. I do not feel the need that I have to seek out the owner on Airbnb, because that's not my responsibility as the owner. I have called the Action Center as well to provide resolution, which is how this came about. Lastly, what I'd like to say is he and Samantha, which is the first time I've ever heard their names or know who they are, because when I talked to contractors, they did not have the information for them. They're here once again because they got caught. They're still doing whatever they desire. They do not currently have a permit, or an exception, I should say, on that property. They had people here just this past weekend, partying, low bass music until 11, 12 a.m. They are not paying hotel taxes. That's huge. I live in Oklahoma City. I pay taxes. I work downtown at Paycom Center. My husband works for Frito-Lay that's also in the city. I have out-of-town visitors. We pay for hotel taxes. If we Airbnb, I'm assuming that they've done the right thing, and you pay for hotel taxes if you have the permit. I urge you to deny this request. It is a blatant disregard for what you all do right here. I hope that you take the information that I've provided and me standing here in front of you today into consideration when you make this decision regarding the home share exception. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question just on the taxes. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I believe the taxes are paid through Airbnb.
Yes, sir.
So the city doesn't, the only tax they're not paying is
Yes.
for the license,
Correct.
the $25.
But the tax is the rate of Oklahoma City hotel tax. So if he doesn't, I just want to make sure that, he's also paying. It's not just, I just don't think, from what I was explained to, and I asked some questions regarding that wasn't clear. So I appreciate the clarity.
Yeah.
I was under the assumption that you had to have it registered in order to make sure that the hotel tax here in Oklahoma City was being applied to his Airbnb. Because it did just do a rate hike. So that's all I'm just concerned. Okay.
I'm totally not sure on that either. That's why I was
Okay.
asking the question, because I think it's through Airbnb that the taxes are taken out, or you pay Airbnb for the tax. I do want to say that a lot of people do come here for the first time to get their application because they either got caught or didn't know, which neither is a valid excuse. But we are then obligated to look at the case and decide whether or not it can meet the special exception. I do want to say that I will look at each application individually, make a decision on what I think is the correct number of guests, whether the cars can park in the street or not in the street. If it has a swimming pool, I'm going to pare it down as much as I can anyways, because I think the first thing in the ordinance is that the property must be in harmony with the neighborhood. And to do that is, I try to at least make it that way, or possibly that way.
And we have a swimming pool as well, and so do the people to the north of them. So there's many of us who have swimming pools and do not invite the environment that is currently happening.
Yep.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
We do not allow parties of any kind. Anytime we've had somebody complain or anything like that, we have contacted the guests, but we usually just allow small families and stuff. We do not allow, if there's any kind of party in the message, we're just like, no, we don't do anything like that.
Right, but not all the, I mean, to vet every single one of the renters is impossible.
Yes, sir.
And so that's why I at least try to limit the number of guests to a number that is more reasonable to not allow parties or not have a lot of people come over. And you to still be able to operate a business.
Yes.
And you're not the first one, promise.
What's that?
You're not the first one that's had a swimming pool in their backyard who's had a short-term lease or an exception.
Were you aware of any of the trash that's stated in the protest letter? Were you aware that any of your previous guests had
No,
left
sir.
kind of a mess for your neighbors?
No, sir. We have people that check it every day. We have people come by, their cleaners that check the yard. We have someone that mows it every week. We just have the grounds maintained as well as we can. We do not leave anything outside that we know about. I mean, we have an extra trash can from the city just to take care of any extra trash they may have. So, yeah, we try to take care of the place as good as we can.
The people that you have check on the property, I know earlier we kind of touched on whether or not you have a property manager, and you said you had some folks that kind of go by and check on it.
Yes, sir.
Do your neighbors have their contact information?
No, sir. No, sir.
I should mention I have contacted the Action Center because the trash cans would be in front of our yard, well, not our yard, but they were, because they would start to come over into our driveway, and I kept moving them back to their location because my husband backs his vehicle in, and they would come over every morning. He's pulling them. So I Googled, what do I do? And that is when it sent me to the Action Center, which is where all of this originated. And trash cans will be out there for 2 weeks at a time. So if there is someone checking on it, they're not pulling in the trash cans, and I was for almost 8 months. And then when I learned that I could take action, that's when they said, no, you leave them there and you call us and we tag it. There's like a white piece of paper that they go out and they tag it with. And so at that point, that was when I called. I actually had just called on Tuesday regarding trash cans being there for an extended period of time. I think I mentioned in there that I had to pull my trash cans back because I have extra ones as well. I had to pull mine back because there was trash being put in my trash cans from them. So I'm doing what I can the right way because confrontation in my letter prior is very uncomfortable for my husband and I. And what our previous actions when we've tried to just be a friendly neighbor to the people that are renting it.
Cindy, are there any open violations, code violations?
I did not record those on the staff report, but when I wrote that, it might have been prior to her calling in. But there was some, if there's a violation when it's called in and the inspector says no violation, I'm not going to record that. And so.
How many times have you had to call the Action Center?
I've called them twice when I found out that I could call the Action Center, which was a few months ago when this all started, because I was under the assumption that it's something that's being taken care of that's already been approved, and there was in the Yukon paper, my neighbor was like, hey, have you seen this? They do permitting. And I was like, no. And they're like, you can call a hotline. And I was like, well, we're Oklahoma City. And so that's when I Googled it the next time the trash cans were out for an extended period of time. And when I said to her, I said, I'm sure this is an Airbnb. We see a lot of traffic. I've talked to contractors. They say they've never met the owners. What do I do? That was when she said to me, well, it looks like that they're not registered. She said, so I will get somebody out there to take care of the trash cans. Please don't pick up the trash cans. She also told me that I have to pick up the trash myself like used condoms in my backyard, I have to pick it up. Because obviously I'm not gonna ask a city worker to come pick it up, but all of this has to be done, and I have to continue to call the Action Center. So I've called them twice. We've refrained, like I mentioned, I work partly from home and partly downtown, so I'm trying to accommodate my life for them, and I've been here now a year, and I'm just tired of accommodating my life for people who don't live here. He's not able to make contact with us because he doesn't live here. Of course, he doesn't have my number because I've never had any FaceTime. This is the first time meeting the homeowner that has a property next to mine.
So I think historically, over the past year, we've denied a couple, and it's because of mismanagement. The theme that I keep hearing is that, were you aware of this, were you aware of this, were you aware of this, and every time you've said no. And so that, to me, is a little bit concerning as to whether or not, if you've got people managing the property going, whoever it is, it's not doing the appropriate job. And I think that for us as a board, I think that we can kind of fall back on that we're going to have people that are going to be managing these properties. And so I'm a little bit conflicted as to which way to go. A, because it's taken 2 years for you to come here. B, because there seems to be some mismanagement on here, so I'm not sure exactly what limitations, if you were to get approved, what limitations to impose on your application, because there will be some, if that's the case. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, if we ever had any idea that there was some issue with trash, we would have taken care of it. We haven't heard anything from anybody about that, but we.
Well, and the reason why you haven't heard it is because he couldn't get a hold of you. I mean, that seems like the reality of this situation. I'll say this to you. Continue to call the Action Center. We don't know unless.
Yep, that's
it
what she
go.
said.
And more than that, take pictures.
Okay.
Document it, because if the Action Center comes, the trash cans are in, well, they missed it, right? And so if there's a situation, and it goes for any of these short-term leases, that needs to be put out, you come, you protest, you get the information, and that's the only way we know
Okay.
what we can and cannot do.
Is the 1 year minimum, is that an ordinance based? Like, we cannot do any shorter than 1 year, is that correct?
Right. Yeah. I think it might be implied, and there is a way to have it revoked. It's a difficult position, but
It gives a maximum of 10 years, but
there is no
I
minimum,
don't find that there is a minimum
just
listed.
implied.
I think we've been doing a year because that is about to coincide with the license. I think those are 1 year at a time.
They are.
Okay,
Even if we give a 3 year, they have to get a license every year.
yeah.
I'm just,
No, I agree.
I mean,
See
this
how
is
this
one of
will
those
work.
unique situations that, on the initial, that I would probably recommend doing 6 months to see how the next 6 months. But I don't know, I think when I try to go less than 1 year one time, I said that's the lowest, so.
I don't see anything that says a minimum. It just does say a maximum in the code at section F.
I think that the license is only for 1 year though, right?
That is correct.
So
They
that
could
would
have, it's
explain.
just a
The special
24-hour.
exception is different than the license. They would have to come back,
No, I understand.
which I'm good with. Other than the application fee, but. So as we deliberate this for you, I mean, obviously you can tell it's up to you as the owner to maintain and operate this and to stay within the confines of your application and the permit that you get.
We do keep cameras on the outside of the house as part of the security system. We watch them to make sure there's not like crazy trash or something out there. I mean, everything stays pretty clean out there out front. And As far as I knew, I've never seen trash out there ever before.
Well, I think we've all heard many, but when the properties aren't managed as well as they should be, trash is probably the number one, right? And that or people parking in front of their driveways or confrontation in the middle of the night.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm looking at the application, no loud music. But as Ms. King has pointed out, I mean, if there's music being played with bass coming through, that's gonna travel over to the adjacent house.
We did, so we have like a large privacy fence on that side of the house. I did add a double fence on that side, just because before she had moved in, they had dogs that were so loud next door. So I tried to put an extra fence in just to kind of keep the noise actually coming back the other way with the dogs. But I had usually if anybody has any sort of complaints or anything like that, I mean, we take care of it immediately. We do not wait or anything.
I think the issue is that I'm the complainer and your tenants are not the complainers because they're hosting the parties. So there is an 8-foot fence, which does help the privacy, which is the visuals, which is great. We both have 8-foot fences. That was like that when I moved in of January 2023. But like you mentioned, it's the bass, it's the screaming. We had one domestic that we were very aware was happening, but due to the reasons that you have there with the gun from the contractor telling us there was a gun pulled on him, we can't address them. I will say I've been very hesitant to call the non-emergency line just due to knowing that Oklahoma City PD is low in resources. They have been recruiting like crazy. And to be honest, I'm just trying to figure out the peaceful way and, try and ignore it. And if it's 11 o'clock at night and something's happening, now I know, okay, it's the action center I'm calling. But ultimately, that fence only does so much blocking out of what is happening over there.
So for me, I mean, I'd like to reduce the number of guests, impose quiet hours, and it being put into the application, then if it's not being done, then call Action Center, get it enforced, call the police, get it enforced, take pictures, whatever, just so that we would have knowledge of how it's being operated.
Okay.
I think the operation of the property will probably change after today.
Okay.
I hope.
And she's more than welcome to contact me if she has.
Yeah,
any
I
issues
definitely want you to
whatsoever. I can leave
give
her my number.
her and the people behind you
Yes, sir.
your direct contact information.
And for me, I would like to see, it sounds like you've got an arrangement worked out with someone who's coming to check on the property, and while that's good, it's simply not sufficient. So I'm okay with approving an application, but along with those restrictions, I'd want to see you get a property manager. You can watch any number of our videos. There's folks that are here that are property managers. There's not anybody in particular that you need to use, but there are folks that specialize in managing short-term rentals. And I think that would not only help your neighbors, it'd help you tremendously because they'd have somebody that they can reach out to. And these folks, they do it professionally. So they've got a system worked out where they've figured out a way to mitigate these types of concerns.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well said, Marcus.
Just to add to that, we do use a lady that does manage some of the better Airbnbs in the area. She does come out and check everything, but yeah, she manages a bunch of Airbnbs in the area, so.
She has a company, she actually has a business doing this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Does she provide her contact information for the immediate neighbors?
She hasn't done that, but we can definitely make that happen if we need to make that happen. We've just never had any complaint from anybody as of to this date except for this, so.
Yeah, I would say if it's your intention moving forward to have her manage, at a minimum, she would need to do that. And I appreciate your willingness to be able to share your contact information, and I think you should. but that's only gonna go so far if you're not local and there's somebody else who's actually responsible for communicating on a day-to-day basis with these guests. I think that person there needs to be a way to get in touch with that person.
Okay, absolutely.
Ms. King was the only one signed up to speak. Does anybody else want to address the board on this application? I think
Okay.
we're ready for a motion.
I want to make some modifications to the application before. So is the garage used for parking?
No, sir, not usually. We do make exceptions for, it, but usually it's driveway only.
Okay. So I'm definitely going to propose that you have no on-street parking. With that said, can you put more than 3 cars in that driveway?
Usually 3 cars is about the limit. It's a 3-car driveway, yeah.
Okay.
And we have that whole side of the street on the corner back there, but there's usually a car just parked there that's not ours, that isn't, we have no idea whose car it is, but it's,
Yep.
there's been a car sitting there forever.
Well, I'm just going to propose maximum of 3 cars.
Okay.
Quiet hours,
Yeah, what I was gonna say is,
About
so
9.
you've got, 9 to 8?
yeah.
Okay. You said you have 3 bedrooms and then an office that's converted?
Yes, sir, it's got a desk and a bed, so it's pretty much a 4-bedroom.
I'd like to see this at 6.
That's kind of where I was leaning. If I'm gonna give you a 1 year, I'm gonna propose 6 people, and I want to use this next year as a trial. Be mindful of Ms. King's concerns. So, normally I don't believe that we've had anything as egregious as 2 years passed, right? I guess you can kind of, and that's factoring into my decision also as to going to 6 people.
Is that 6 including children, or is that just?
That's total.
Total.
Okay, so.
Yep.
Anything else from the board?
You accept those modifications?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If
Can you
that's what-
repeat the quiet hours again?
9 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Okay, thank you. And then do we get a copy of this so we're aware of, like, once it comes, will it be mailed to us so that we're aware?
It won't,
Just so if I do need to call the Action Center
it-
a month
they
from
will,
now.
they will have it.
Oh, okay.
So the Action
Okay,
Center will be
gotcha.
able to look up the application and it will be on the application.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And trash and trash cans, those are all just part of city ordinances
Right,
that
in
are-
general.
aren't
Okay.
included with this.
Ready for a motion?
I think so. Motion to approve case number 15685 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions with the following modifications. Maximum number of guests shall be 6. Quiet hours are adjusted to be from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. for a term of 1 year. Maximum number of vehicles shall be 3 and no on-street parking.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you for your time today.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Item number 12, case number 15686 is a renewal application of Luke Richardson of Triple H Investments for home sharing at 1120 Northwest 43rd Street.
Name is Luke Richardson. Address is 5117 Isle Bridge Court, Edmond, Oklahoma. Here today, ask for a renewal for 1120 Northwest 43rd Street and a 3-year special exception.
Okay, anything from the board? Nobody signed up to speak on this application. Does anybody? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, on the driveway, how many cars can fit in the drive? 1?
You can fit 1 in the back, yeah, without blocking.
So I was going to just limit to 1 car for the exception. I was going to limit
Yep.
to 1 car for
That's
the
fine.
exception. No on-street parking.
Yeah, typically, I mean, it sleeps 4, but it's a studio style, so we do have a pull-out couch. It's families traveling overnight, and they've got a kid or 2 with them. Very, very rarely do we have 4 adults staying there, so it's always one car.
Okay. Nobody signed up to speak on this one. Does anybody want to address the board on this application? Okay, I think we're ready for a motion then.
I guess my only question are 4 guests. How big is your sleeper sofa?
It's a queen.
Okay. You guys good with 4?
I mean, I'd like 3.
It's honestly not that big a deal. Like, something like that, it's almost always a kid with a family.
Right.
Very few adults want to sleep on a sofa.
Understood. Okay.
I think we're ready for a motion then.
Motion to approve case number 15686 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the requested special exception with the modification that maximum number of vehicles shall be 1, no on-street parking. Maximum number of guests shall be 3 for a term of 3 years.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you.
Item number 13 was deferred till August 1st. So item number 14, case number 15689, is an application of Caden Norton and Dacian Norton to allow home sharing at 1324 Northwest 10th Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Caden Norton. This is my wife, Dacia Norton. We live at 1619 Rimstone Drive, Cedar Park, Texas. This is in regards to 1324 Northwest 10th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So we came up to Oklahoma City during the pandemic with our family, just fell in love with this city, and purchased a home here as kind of a second home / hopefully short-term rental in February 2022. We have been updating the property, updated kitchen, bathrooms, paint, flooring, etc., as well as done some landscaping, added an extension to the driveway. And so our hope is that we can continue to use this as a vacation home for us, but also to kind of help offset the cost related to it, to do some short-term rentals. So this has not been rented out by anybody to this date. It's only been us who stayed there. Our intention is to have a professional property management company do everything basically when we're not here. We do have another Airbnb rental in a different state, and we do professional property management there. We have shared our contact information with all our neighbors there. They also have the contact information of our property management company there, and our intention would be to do the same here. And we've actually already sort of started that, getting to know our neighbors a little bit.
Questions or comments from the board?
How do you get to 7 people? You got 3 rooms?
Yeah, so we have 3 rooms. There's a king, a queen, and then a twin over a full bunk bed. So 3 bedrooms total, 2 baths.
Okay, nobody signed up to speak on this one. Does anybody want to address the board on this application?
There's no driveway, there's just the one parking spot in the back behind the fence.
Yeah, so the property's on a corner, and so the driveway basically goes up and into the backyard.
You can fit one on inside the fence, maybe one outside the fence.
Yeah, and we were looking at that, we're talking about, I think we're gonna kind of extend the concrete portion, add maybe some decomposed granite and all, so you can even make sure you pull it up all the way. In the picture, that's my truck. It's a fairly big sized truck, but I think you could probably, if you move that forward, you may be even able to fit in 2 within the gate even, so.
Yeah, if you keep the sliding gate open, you can fit 2
Yeah.
cars not blocking the sidewalk or road, but with the gate closed, 2 small cars maybe,
Yep.
or 1 big truck.
So we'd be okay with limiting it to maximum of 2 cars
Yeah.
and no on-street parking?
Yeah.
Anything else? I think we're ready for a motion then.
Motion to approve case number 15689 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions with the following modifications: quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. That was something that was not discussed, but definitely 8 a.m. Maximum number of vehicles shall be 2, no on-street parking, and for a term of 1 year.
Second.
Motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you.
Item number 15, case number 15691 is an application of Nakia Allen to allow home sharing at 3628 Northwest 43rd Street.
Hello, I am Nonika Allen, and the unit that I am seeking exception for is 3628 Northwest 43rd Street. I would like to thank you all for the opportunity to meet this board, and I do understand the concern of neighbors who feel as if the inclusion of home sharing may change their property value, or it may limit the amount of housing due to our unprecedented housing crisis. I would like to assure you that I will continue my weekly lawn care, as well as institute the rules that I've set to prevent any long or short-term tenants that I have being a nuisance to my neighbors. If you haven't had the opportunity to read the rules, I do have them listed on my home sharing applications. And some very important rules that should be noted is that I do not allow parties, and neither does Airbnb. I do not allow loud noises, and I do encourage any guest to remove trash from the property on a weekly basis. And I do not allow more than the intended amount of people per each property. And if there is an excess, Airbnb will charge $300 for each extra member, and that is noted in my rules and regulations to include quiet time as well. So I have been the owner of the properties that are listed since February of 2022. To date, I have not had any noise violations or the police call to my property to address any tenants. And I'm not here because I got caught. I'm here because I do run a midterm, 3 months or more, to allow rental in my property. And I've been given the opportunity to apply for housing for FAA students at the FAA training institution. And some of their courses range from 12 to 6 months. So I did seek out the requirements, and having a short-term rental license is one of the requirements to rent to the intended students because of the duration of their courses. Currently, I've been leasing to medical professionals and government roofing contractors at Tinker Air Force Base. I plan to continue to lease to working professionals who agree to the terms of the lease and the rules and regulations that govern my rentals. That's all that I have at this time.
Questions from the board? I got one signed up to speak.
Let's hear from them first.
Okay, Richard Crow.
My name is Richard Crow. My address is 7400 Green Meadow Lane in Oklahoma City, 73132. And I would like to speak against this application. I own the property adjacent to this house on the south side. It is a duplex rental, as the property is. And the biggest problem, my basic lifestyle is live and let live. You know, not somebody's not causing trouble. What they do is their business, not mine. However, my limited experience with home sharing situations is two occurrences. Both of them are very negative. My sister-in-law owned AMPI, Associate Medical Professionals, a temporary nurse staffing business. She rented apartments to provide housing for nurses that lived out of town, come in and work shifts and/or weeks or months at a time, and provide them with shared housing. They would be given a room in that, a bedroom in the particular apartments. Turned into a horrible nightmare for her because there was all kinds of activities, illicit drugs, prostitution, affairs. She sent a nurse into one of the apartments that was supposed to be completely empty, only to find it clear full of people she didn't have any idea who they were, because people had made keys, passed them out. And obviously with that kind of activity, she immediately shut it down. The other is a house just down a block and a half from my house that was rented out on a home sharing basis, and it turned into a party house. Loud, raucous parties till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Total mess, cars all over the whole neighborhood. And, you know, it was the police that finally shut that operation down. My experience is not positive. I'm not saying it. This is, with the tough times we've got right now, that home sharing isn't something that's viable and necessary. I'm just saying, to be next door to my property, I am opposed. I presented the application to my 2 tenants, 2 single women. One has 2 school-age children. A girl, her youngest daughter is 5 years old. I brought letters from them. I don't know that you care to see them or want to hear them, but they vehemently object. I know this property has already been being rented out on a short-term basis without the permit.
Excuse me, I would like to say.
One at a time.
Okay, sorry about that.
Because of the number of different people in and out of that property. You know, the ones that I had to encounter happened to be an out-of-state roofing crew that was in. I was a insurance restoration contractor for most of my adult life and employed a lot of roofing contractors. And I happen to know they go in, one person rents, and they've packed the house with 20, 30 people or whatever. We had trucks parked up and down the street with their trailers. There's just not adequate parking for that kind of thing here. Plus the number of, I mean, you can imagine a single mom with a young girl, that kind of traffic in the area, people you don't know, and she is very, very concerned. I'm concerned because I think I'll lose both of my tenants if this passes. That's an economic hardship for me. That's all I got to say. I just hope that you will listen to reason. There has not been, I've got some questions I would like to ask. I'm sorry?
Direct everything to us.
Yeah, please. Direct questions to us.
Oh,
You can
okay.
visit in the hall afterwards if you want. But
I mean, the FAA and nurses are professionals, as my sister-in-law's business was, nurses and medical professionals. I know what they can do. I know that it is, you know, sounds professional, but people are people. And all you got to get is a bad apple and you can spoil the whole bunch. Is there a limit on how many people can be in these houses? Is there, you know, parking I addressed, supervision? What, I mean, who's keeping track that they aren't bringing in 10 other people? What is my recourse if you approve this? How do I go about it? Because, you know, I don't think the police want me calling them all the time, every time I get a call at midnight from my tenants. What's the process? What's the procedure? I know on that particular property, The fence between the properties has not been maintained. One of the people that was in there had a pit bull. Well, the kids then obviously couldn't go into their own backyard because the dog came, just came in and out through the fence. I'm just saying it's not a tenable situation in my opinion.
I've got a couple of comments. Your recourse is the Action Center. If approved.
I'm sorry, my hearing is very bad.
Okay, if approved, your recourse is the Action Center. Okay, that's the number you're going to call if something comes up. That's your recourse. With regards to the fence, that sounds to me like that's something that the two of you need to address.
I had offered to, and I don't know who it was that I talked with the tenant that was there, and I said, this has got to be fixed. I'll split the cost. Let's put up a new fence.
Yeah, and it is a shared cost.
Won't pay for that.
It is a shared cost between the adjacent owners. As far as number of guests, the application says 4. Right, so that's the number of overnight guests that are allowed pursuant to this application.
Per unit or per bedroom?
No, total. 4 total. There's 2 bedrooms.
On-street parking.
I mean, your carport. How many cars can your carport fit?
Okay, I'm sorry, I wanted to provide clarification because I think he's confusing both of the properties. For one of the properties, the one that I'm addressing now at 3628 Northwest 43rd Street, that is only for 4 occupants. It has a 1-car car garage. And the 1-car car garage, it has a driveway. So the tenants are allowed on that unit to park in the garage as well as in that driveway.
Okay, how many cars can you fit?
2? 1 in the driveway, 2 overall.
I was addressing both. It is a duplex. I was addressing the issue for both.
Yes, but there are 2 different case numbers, and that is next.
Yeah, we're just on the one on 43rd.
Yes, and one thing for clarification, I know he provided information about scenarios that did not pertain to this particular case number, but I don't book by the room, I book by the unit. That's for clarifications. And I do have exterior cameras, a camera that is over the car garage, that is in the front door, and also in the backyard. And that is to prevent people from trying to sneak in other guests who will not be subject to that particular booking. And I don't understand about a pit bull. I do not allow pets in my unit. I had a nurse stay, she had a cat, it was a neighborhood cat. She allowed the cat into the home. I gave her a notice to evict to make sure that the cat will not be there anymore. And she did say she would abide by the rules, and she was charged $500 from her security deposit for cleaning fee. So I do not allow pets. I have severe allergies, and I cannot be going to my house and clean properly if there are pets allowed there.
If I may say, I own rental property as well, and I have a no pet policy. And I can't tell you how many times I've done a surprise inspection and find pets. The policy, you can only enforce it if you go and inspect, and it happens.
He made a very good point that could happen, but that could also happen with long-term rentals as well.
Anything else? Nobody else signed up to speak? Apparently you want to speak. Yes. Come on up.
Good afternoon. I'm Jared Rollins. I own 4300 North June Avenue, which is the south side of the street. It's a duplex. I live on one side, I rent out the other. I met Miss Allen when I was cutting my grass. So, cutting the grass, she stopped by to say hello. We got to talking. She told me about what she was doing in the neighborhood. That's how I met her. Pretty much, I'm a flight attendant. I go back and forth every week from New York to here. Pretty much every week I see her car going in and out of the driveway, coming in and out to check the attendants and stuff. I asked her what's her business plan, because I own one of the properties as well. She told me how she runs her business and everything, so it was a good understanding. Before I even met her, I saw a truck in the driveway, and I thought they were the renters because it was there for so long, but I guess it was the roofing company that they were talking about as well. So there was one parked on one side of the street, one parked on the other side of the street. That's only 2 trucks I've ever saw. In the 2 years I own this property, I've never had any problem from her. I never had any problem from the tenants that he rents from as well. The only problem I ever had from tenants across the street as well. So for me, it's all about, everyone has problems with somebody. This could be a situation, he talked about how his sister-in-law had problems and everything, but every situation is always different. We can't lump everyone to the same group. If you have someone that's saying like, hey, this is what I do, I have cameras to see and everything and stuff, she does a drive-by. If you only see me once a week and I see you, that means you're there a lot. So that means she's there a whole lot when I see her as well. As far as a pet bull, there is a person that has a dog, but it's on the backside of my property, and the way our duplexes line up, I'm not sure if you see from the photos, they're not like evenly matched up back to back. They overlap. But there's a person that has a dog, and I've seen them walk their dogs around the neighborhood, but as far as anyone on our side of the street, I never seen a dog. I just saw a person walk the dog. I've never seen anyone on our side of the street or the street that I live on walking, and I've lived there for 2 years.
Questions? Okay.
Just like looking at that application, looking at the application, I'd just like to make the modification to it to change the quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. and then put a maximum of 2 vehicles
Yes.
with no on-street parking. And it's a 1-year exception.
Thank you.
And to the gentleman that was up before, we definitely we understand that everyone has different experiences, right? But that's why that 1-year limitation, because we want to see how that first year goes. We can't necessarily impart negative experiences that you've had or other people have had at other properties directly on the applicant, right? They could definitely run theirs just perfect, and that's what that 1 year is for. So I don't want to discount your concerns potentially.
The last I checked, I'm an equal citizen with every other citizen. So the protection of me and my property rights should be as important as anyone else's. As I said, I'm not into messing in somebody else's life. Let them live their life, do what they want, until it starts impacting me. Then we have a shared issue to deal with. And the comment that you can't impose the negatives on a new applicant, I think they have to be considered. I don't think you're hearing all of the problems because people aren't coming down here to complain to you, and or you're not receiving the complaint calls. As a landlord, I get them. And it's not, I'm an old man. And it's disturbing to get that and to have a young mom in tears about what's going on. And I'm sorry, but I think you need to consider the opposite side of the coin in your application and in the review, and not just dismiss it as, well, you're just one side and we can't apply that to all situations. I've already had some negative in this situation, so I'm sorry, but I am negative on it.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, I think we're ready for a motion.
Motion to approve case number 15691 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions with changes that quiet hours shall be adjusted from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., 2-car maximum, no on-street parking for a term of 1 year.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
Thank you.
You're approved.
Item number 16, case number 15692, an application of Nonika Allen for home sharing at 4316 North June Avenue.
Once again, hello, I am Nonika Allen, and the address that I am seeking special exemption for is 4316 North June Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73112.
Anything from the board?
Just a few questions. The first question I have is the number of guests. This is a 3-bedroom?
Yes, it is 3-bedroom, 3-bath. In the biggest bedroom, I have a queen-size bed and 2 bunk beds. Well, 1 bunk bed with 2 full beds, excuse me.
You said it's 3 bathrooms?
Yes.
Excuse me, would you consider a maximum of 7 instead of,
Yes, I will.
and then I believe 4 cars can fit, 2 in the garage, 2 in the carport?
Yes, and I do understand what you mean about the carport, but I do appreciate that because the trucks cannot fit underneath the carport. Big trucks like, Ford F-150s, they can't fit in the carport. So you said 2 car on street and 2 in the 2 car driveway?
I was thinking you could put 4 in the drive. Can you not fit 4 in the drive, 2 under, 2 behind them?
That would be kind of hard without blocking the sidewalk. So if I'm trying to think of it in my mind, as far as people getting in and people getting out, 2 cars being directly in back of each other.
How about if we allow 1 on-street parking?
1, that would suffice. Thank
Okay,
you.
so maximum of 3 vehicles with 1 on-street?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I can go with that.
One signed up.
There's
Mr.
some-
Crow.
Yeah.
The reason they can't park in the garage is that's been converted to the 3rd bedroom. I don't think with a building permit, I didn't see one posted ever, but so it means that if you're going to put 4 cars there, they're going to be on the street. In the case of roofing crews, they're going to be on the street. And it's a corner. It's a problem. And
Okay,
all my other objections
Yeah,
are
I think
are still.
I had her agree to 1 on-street parking spot.
I'm sorry?
I had her agree to 1 on-street parking spot.
And who enforces the 30-day? Who enforces the 30-day limit?
That's between them and the renter. So they could rent 30 days at a time
so
for the
what-
next forever.
What is the procedure? Who do I contact if there's a continuous,
Well,
if they want to rent it for long-term, I got no problem with that. But in and out and checking out overnight or whatever, saying they did and being back in there the next morning,
The Action Center would be a good place to
because I
call.
think some of those FAA courses are,
Right, but
6 weeks.
they can rent it for 30 days at a time and then rent it for the next 30 days, the next 30 days, the next 30 days.
the notice that I got that it says 30-day maximum.
Right, but then after that 30 days is over, they can reapply and
It also
get another
says it
30
must be
days.
vacated.
I've got a question as far as the garage.
That's on the
Does it-
application right here, the deal you sent me.
Sorry, I think the confusion is once
Not
you're
to
over 30
exceed
days,
30.
it's not considered short-term rental.
Right, so they do a 30-day rental, and then when it expires, they do another 30-day rental.
So what's the point in putting it in there?
What's the point of,
Putting that stipulation in there if it means nothing?
that's the definition of a home share, less than 29 days.
I still haven't heard a decent answer to the question.
I think the confusion is that if you are renting your home out to someone more than 30 days, you're not considered a short-term rental and you don't have to come here. It's only if you're gonna rent your house out for less than 30 days at a time, that a property owner has to come here if they don't live there.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Well, I'm not sure I heard everything and understood it, but it is,
So if she was to rent the property to someone for 4 months, would be considered a long-term rental, she wouldn't need this permit for that.
and I just said, I have no problem with long-term rentals. But where you're doing it on a home sharing basis, and you've got multiple people in that home, other than, it doesn't say that they all have to be from the same group or the same family. It's 4 people. And sharing connotes that, I believe. Therefore,
Just because she has a license for the home share for this property doesn't mean that that's all she can do with this property.
no, I agree with
So
that.
she can do a less than 30 days or longer term than 30 days. But if it's longer term, she doesn't need this license.
The period of time not to exceed 30 days.
That's for
That's what we're here
purposes of
for.
a short.
Yeah, it allows her to lease the property for less than 30 days. But if she wants to lease it for longer than 30 days, she can do that also without a permit.
Under home sharing.
No,
Oh.
long-term lease, which doesn't require a permit.
Can I get clarification on, is there permitting required for converting a garage into a room?
Probably a building permit because it has electricity, I would
Okay.
think. But that's
I mean,
not in our purview.
No, it's not, but definitely something to look at. Can I make a
Nobody
motion?
else signed up to speak. Does anybody want to address the board on this application? Oh, go ahead.
It's me again, just the same thing.
Give us your name and,
Jared Rollins,
thank you.
4300 North June Avenue, 4300 and 4302 North June Avenue as well. That if he wants to get her phone number, I'm pretty sure if he has any problems, complaints and everything, that she would address it personally. Like I've said, I've seen her come to the properties, I've seen her clean, I've seen her come by, I've seen her every week, even when I'm cutting my grass, going in and out, I've seen her as well. So it's not like she's someone that owns the property that you never see, you see her. And I feel like for me to have rental properties, that's very rare for me to actually see the owner. Thank you.
Anybody else on this application?
Could you make sure that you give him your contact information?
Yes, I'll be more than happy to do so.
Thanks.
Now I think we're ready for a motion.
Motion to approve case number 15692 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions with the following modifications. Maximum number of guests shall be 7, quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Maximum number of vehicles shall be 3, with only 1 allowed on street and for a term of 1 year.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I didn't get a panel. Everybody else vote? Yeah. I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you're approved.
Okay, item number 17, case number 15695 is a renewal application of Brandon and Melissa Graham to allow home sharing located at 320 Northwest 21st.
Give us your name and address and tell us about your application.
Melissa Graham. My address is 320 Northwest 21st Street. I am renewing my license. I have had an Airbnb since, November of 2019, I believe. I've had over 300 guests, All 5-star reviews, no complaints from the neighbors. I live in the house, the main house, and the Airbnb is in our garage apartment. I have had a couple of instances where, you know, somebody was being loud, and I personally go out there and shut it down. I have quiet hours, and my complaints don't come from the neighbors, they come from me. So it's just a renewal.
Is this a second renewal on this property, or was the first time you got it a 3-year exemption?
The first time the first time I got my license, there was some confusion, and the city permit office, it was our first time that we were doing it. The city permit office accidentally skipped over the historic preservation. And so the first year, I had the city permit and the HP, but the HP never actually went through HP. And then we did the 3-year. And then I called in November of 2023, the city, because I knew my license was expiring, but they said, no, it's not expiring until April. And I said, I know my city permit is not expiring until April, but I think I need to do something with HP and Board of Adjustments. And they looked at the record and said, no, everything expires in April. And so then I started the process. I sent in my application in April, or in probably the beginning of March for the April, and then they responded back with the instructions for what I needed to do to renew this.
Okay. For me, I was just looking to give it another 3-year, or maybe move it to a 5-year, since it was the third.
I would love as long of a term as possible.
So with that, I'd like to maybe make another modification to change the quiet hours from 11 to 10
Okay.
to 8 a.m. Limit the maximum number of vehicles for this to 1.
That's typically what we have, because it's just a 2 occupancy. It's 1 queen bed. I do not allow pets or kids. So they are both kind of similar to me nowadays. But I just...
Yeah, I could get behind a 5-year exemption.
May I recommend, we're off track now between the license, which that birthday will never change. So if we could somehow align the special exception.
That would be great.
To align in April for her, that would be ideal.
Actually, my city permit, well, wait a minute, are you guys, the license, gosh, the license. We were talking earlier about this. Will it go back to April?
That's what she's wanting us to
Okay,
do.
that would be great, if I could have them all at
Yeah.
the same time.
So, for the record, I mean, April of 2029.
Actually, even if it doesn't, then when I start the process to do the city license, then that is my signal that I need to be doing the HP Board of Adjustments. So it doesn't really matter to me. If you want to do,
I get that.
do you see what I'm saying? Because it does take sometimes 2-3 months to get
through
on the
HP
HP schedule and then on the Board of Adjustment schedule.
Probably keep it. Right.
Oh, but wait a minute, then that would mean that the license would need to be after the Board of Adjustments.
So
Okay.
we'll try
Not
to
to
get
belabor it, but where we struggle is that the license is good from the very first month you had it. When our special exception doesn't align perfectly and the license expires after the special exception, it's hard for us to sign off on, I hope I'm even saying it right. It's hard for us to sign off on a license if the special exception doesn't extend the full term of the license. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
I hope.
So
Okay.
They'll give us the date we're supposed to use.
I think we would like to use the month of April if that's when the license was originally born.
Yes.
Yes.
April of 2029 would be 5 years from now, right?
That would be great.
4.5 years.
Close enough.
Through April of 2029.
Okay. All right. Nobody signed up to speak on this application. Does anybody want to address the board on this one? Okay, now we're ready for a motion.
All right, motion to approve case number 15695 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions. With the modifications, the quiet hours shall be from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Maximum number of vehicles shall be 1, and this shall be good for a term through April of 2029. Okay.
Second.
My board says we're voting on case number 16. I think this is
Refresh.
number 17. Okay, well, I'm voting yes anyway. Still the wrong number. I don't know. I vote yes on this one,
Okay, thank you.
in spite of what the screen says.
Okay, item number 18, case number 15696 is an application of Alyssa Dyer on behalf of Jeffrey Wade and Matthew Wade to allow home sharing at 3321 Northwest 62nd Street.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Dyer. My address is 1316 South. I have a couple notes for this one, so bear with me. I saw that we had a couple of neighbors who protested this, so I read through those. I did drop letters to each of those neighbors earlier this week, just with my personal number and office number and email, so if they don't have those, they should have them soon. Let me see. I did update a couple things in the listing. Totally understood that some of their concerns with, I think I had like great for groups or something in the listing. That shifted to like families, definitely don't want a party house. Agreed with all of their house rules. I think one of them wanted more strict quiet hours. If we need to adhere to that, I'm definitely okay with that. We've got a Ring doorbell there. Lawn care will be there about every other week. We're there weekly for trash, so I know there are some concerns around how often somebody will actually be there. I'm absolutely fine with no street parking. Totally understand, you know, in front of the house. So if we need to make that modification, it's also absolutely okay. And then honestly, it's on me. I totally messed up. We use a software to restrict the number of days, and I didn't double check that when we got the listing set up. So I've checked it daily since then and made sure that the 30-day is in place. But it wasn't for, I don't know how long before.
Okay. Any questions? I got a couple signed up to speak.
Yeah, let's hear from them. Alyssa, you've just taken this property over to manage it, right?
There's a couple, they live in Lincoln Terrace, so about, I don't know, 5 minutes from here. So they've owned it as a rental for a while and wanted to set it up as a short-term rental. So they called me for that.
Has it been operated without the permit short-term?
It was for, that's what I was saying, it was for a couple weeks. When I set it up, there's
Right.
stay restrictions, and I did not double check
But the previous owner wasn't there
Oh,
long-term
no,
resident.
the previous owner was not, no.
Okay, let's hear from the protesters.
Paula Glasgow? Come on up.
I'm assuming each of you have my opposition
Yeah, it's in the,
and have read it? Everyone's read it?
give us
And-
your name and address first. for the
Paula Glasgow, 3316 Northwest 62nd.
And yes, your protest is included in the packet and.
And
we
it
read
is incorporated into this record today.
Yep, yes.
Okay, I will not repeat a lot of what's in here, therefore. This is literally less than 100 feet from my front door to that front door. And I am here in a fight for the peace and serenity of my own home my life in my own home. She wants to operate a 10-guest, 10, across the street, less than 100 feet from me. This neighborhood has 2 and 3 bedroom homes, many one-car garages. There's no, on my block, it's literally 1 block long. It tees at one end, crosses over to a neighborhood at the other end. There are no homes on that street that house even 6 people. It is ridiculous. I can't even think of an adjective that's bad enough to use. This is a restricted R1. I bought my home 15 years ago in an R1 residential single-family dwelling. And now I'm going to have to deal with this. And yes, I've got some examples of other problems. You know what? I haven't had to deal with the problems yet. That's why I'm here. Why should I have to deal with the problems that have been experienced week after week after week by other neighbors that live near these Airbnbs? I hear it all the time. One citizen was standing right here where I'm standing on June the 20th, and she said, if these aggrieved neighbors want to hear the birds sing at 10 o'clock at night, they can move to the suburbs. Well, isn't that great? What, my rights aren't as important as these investors who want an income stream? I don't understand that. Who's going to come help me in the early morning hours when doors are slamming, people are out partying, doing whatever? No one's going to come help me. I can call the action line, but they're not going to come help me. They're not going to come take care of the problem right then so I can sleep. What do I do then? This is the only 4-bedroom house on this block, and the only reason it's a 4-bedroom house is because it's had a room added on. One moment. And I have checked the county assessor website, and it shows it's a 3-bedroom. It doesn't show any kind of addition. It's had a modified bath, and it's got a bedroom that was added I don't know when. But if you would like, I have copies of that, and I also have copies of the exterior of that room that was added off of her Airbnb listing. And you can't tell me, I'm sorry, no disrespect, but you can't tell me she operates 23 Airbnbs and she didn't know that she offered that Airbnb without being licensed and without this exception, without knowing she was renting it, booking it for 2 days at a time. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. She's saying her software was messed up because she got caught. That's why. I also heard an older couple stand right here and tell you guys on June 20th that they can't sleep at night. They can't sleep. And so you guys said, okay, host, you give them your contact information. And the host said, well, they can call me, but I might be asleep. That's the reality. I'm going to ask a rhetorical question, even of the applicant, of all of you. Would any one of you want a 10-guest Airbnb 100 feet from your home? Would you want that? Would you want to deal with that? I'm here to fight for my lifestyle. This is life-altering, having to deal with this mess. I should not be put in that position. And do you think I can sell my home? Maybe to an investor at a discount? Who wants to live across the street it's a commercial enterprise, right in the middle of a residential neighborhood, not on the outskirts, not on the edge, smack dab in the middle of it. I would like for this record to reflect that there has been a violation of the municipal code. because she knew better and she rented out that Airbnb twice. I've got reviews right here if you want a copy. How emboldened all of these applicants feel, because you know what? They come in here and every single application gets approved. I've never seen one get denied, ever. And these conditions all sound great. That's great. You condition, but you know what? I'm the one that has to deal with it. I'm the one that has to deal with it. It's not across the street from you or you or you or you. It's across the street from me. And I'm just trying to live my life in my home, not bothering anybody else. And I am really sorry about the tone of my voice, but I am so upset that my peace is being threatened in my own home. I would like to see some permits on this added-on room.
We're not the keeper of permits. You'll have to check with the city on that.
Well, I'm not the keeper of peace, but I'm putting in a position that I'm going to have to monitor and call the action line. I do have a question. I'm an aggrieved neighbor, impacted neighbor from what's about to go in across the street from me. Do I have standing to sue in district court to appeal this decision that's about to happen?
It's called an appeal.
Yes, I know it's called an appeal. Do I have standing, since I'm not the applicant, to appeal to the district court?
I'm not going to give you legal advice.
I don't want legal advice. I'm asking about an ordinance, a statute. It is very unclear whether or not, I'm asking your municipal counselor, as an aggrieved neighbor, if I can appeal a decision to the district court.
While we're at a breaking point, I have got a time crunch. I'm leaving. Don, you're in charge.
Okay.
And by the way, this Airbnb listing was advertising to groups before she recently updated it. But at the same time, there's a big table out in the backyard with party lights strung out there. I mean, it's renting to families, but you're encouraging them to party in the backyard.
Rather than take some time to look this up in the middle of the meeting, if you'd
Alrighty.
like to visit later, we can certainly do that.
Thank you.
Thanks. So there's one other person signed up to speak, John Mullet.
Mulzet, M-U-L-Z-E-T. I would like to echo a number of the things that Ms. Glasgow has just spoken about. We have not received the letter that Ms. Dyer said that she sent. I haven't seen it. My wife hasn't seen it. I don't think Paula has received it. So we don't know about that. We do know that there were some somewhat shady things with the application and all that. We realized that could have been lost in the paperwork, could have been a computer problem. We get all that. But what I look at this as, my wife and I bought our house in the neighborhood 29 years ago. It was our first house together. We intend for it to be our last house. We now know that we've got this Airbnb getting ready to go in just a few doors down from us, not 100 feet, a little bit farther down than that. But we had intended to stay. But suddenly, if we've got a business opportunity right in the middle of our neighborhood, it's going to change the neighborhood. It automatically will. The traffic is going to make a difference. The comings and goings are going to make a difference. The fact that we've got people we don't recognize on this 10 street that Ms. Glasgow just expressed, that basically we kind of know who's coming in and out of the neighborhood, especially as retired people. My wife and I are there often, and we know which cars need to be there and which ones don't. There's no guarantee of the people that are coming into this property as the rental agent or anybody else. They can screen them, they can do all this stuff. You can have your rental agreements, you can have all of that. That's great. But just like Ms. Glasgow was expressing, it's hard to get somebody out there at 3 o'clock in the morning when this stuff is going on. And I'm sure the people that are trying to rent these properties out for Airbnbs, that's great. They're trying to make money. They're trying to do what they want to do. Well, I'm expressing this from the point of view that we've got a drug house next door to us. It's under surveillance by the police right now. They come out, we're making reports. They are checking up on what's going on this house. That's sure not going to look very good on the reviews for that house that you're trying to turn into an Airbnb. And don't think I wouldn't get on there and post that to let people know.
Try to address the board.
Anyway, we've got issues with homeless people coming through the neighborhood. We're not too far from the interstate. Basically, we see lots of people wandering around. That has become a problem in the last year. And I've learned a lot from this board today. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the chance to be able to be here and to express our concerns. If the problems that apparently are occurring with the Airbnb rentals, as they are basically, as it was told yesterday on the news about the moratorium that you're having on, obviously these are problems that are widespread. It's not basically something that's going to be just at one particular one or one down the street. If coming up with the rules and regulations that you all have for this, if that's not working, how do we change what we need to do to make Airbnbs more accountable for what they're doing? You know, like I said, if it's a policy change, how do we go about doing that? And one other point that I'd like to make, there's nothing historic in our neighborhood. There's no reason that people would come in from out of town and want to stay in our particular block in order to basically see Oklahoma City or whatever it is that they're doing as they're coming in. I would think that there would be better locations for these kind of enterprises than in the middle of an R1 neighborhood that doesn't really have much to offer tourists. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks. Just a couple of responses to some of your questions. I think that one of the things we look for as a board is property management and good property management. And having a property manager in this application is something that is a positive for me. Coming back to something you said about how the operations work, and I will say that there's quite a few protesters who come in on the original application, and a surprisingly small number of protesters who come in on well-operated renewals.
Well, that's good to know. I wish the best for this. But like I said, you're talking to somebody who's living next to a drug house right now. We
Right.
never intended to do that.
And that goes to, you can't pick your neighbor.
I know, I get it.
So, but everything you said is taken under advisement. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this case?
One thing that the gentleman mentioned is how can we get some policy changes? And that's going to be done through your city council. And I believe that the city recognizes that there are, maybe there could be further restrictions imposed. I think that's part of the reason that things are being changed as the years and as we can give them back feedback and as they get feedback from the population, right? So, and from the community. So I would continue to encourage you to reach out to your council member. I know I've spoken personally with the council member with mine and kind of discuss some of the things that I've heard so that they can make informed choices and informed changes. So that, all that to say is that they will listen to the concerns of the population.
Right. And To add on to that, right now, there's an ordinance rewrite on the home sharing ordinance. So contact your council person and discuss the ordinance with them.
Yeah, the only thing that I'll add further to that is I completely appreciate the fact that sometimes this feels rubber stamped or just that we're just going through the motions. I assure you that's not the case. We're operating within the confines that we have set to operate in. Ms. Glasgow, you listed several instances from previous meetings. If you watched previous meetings, you've no doubt seen us share the same information that was just shared here about taking it to City Council. And I personally credit those individuals that came to those meetings who were frustrated about it because they did get with City Council. I've had a number of conversations with different City Council people when they've received those protests. And I would state that that's the primary reason that we have this ordinance being reviewed right now. That is the reason for the moratorium until they can get this ordinance out. So your voices are being heard. It's just that we're very limited in what we can do here. So all of the different pieces that are now moving as far as there being a wider consideration as it pertains to short-term rentals, that is all City Council. And that, again, that's the result of those individuals going to them. That is something that we lack the ability to do here. So it is working. It may not be working as fast as we'd like it to work, but the process is working. And just as Don just stated, right now is the time window. This is the time window because these things are being considered. So it's not something where you're coming in after the fact and all of these decisions are being made. I would argue that your comments right now are even weightier than they would have been previously, simply because it's on everybody's mind and it's on their agenda. So I definitely encourage you to continue in that effort. Yeah.
I know one of the standards that is looked at is the harmony of the neighborhood and the compatibility in the neighborhood. And I'd like to clarify that this home with 4 bedrooms, 10 guests is in no way in harmony with the rest of this neighborhood, and in particular, this block where it's located. And thank you.
And that's something that we can address here. Alyssa, do you want to run down the number of guests that you have?
Yeah, sure, certainly. There are 4 bedrooms. To her point, one of them is an add-on. I don't know who did the add-on. It was that way when they purchased it. If that info is needed, I can find it. So there's 4 bedrooms, king bed, 2 queen beds, and then 1 bedroom has 2 singles, and then the sofa is a pull-out sofa. I have good relationships with neighbors at the other houses. I definitely don't want to be in a position where, I mean, that just sucks, honestly, you know. If we need to explore nightly minimums, you know, no one-night stays, or explore nixing the sofa bed, we're open to that and are more concerned about maybe finding a middle ground than like maxing out every little bit. So food for thought on you guys' part.
How many bathrooms are?
So there's 2. One of them is in the add-on area, so master ensuite, and then there's 1 bathroom in the hall or around the other 3 bedrooms.
So I'm definitely maximum 8 guests.
Okay.
I'm presuming that the add-on was...
Is the garage usable? Sorry.
Yeah, it's a 1-car garage.
Okay. So a maximum of 3 vehicles. 2 in the driveway, 1 in there, no on-street parking.
Yeah, yes.
I'm more comfortable with 7. It's 1,633 square foot. I looked it up.
I mean, I can get on board with 7. So I've got 7 guests, 3 car max, 1 year, no on-street parking. And
Quiet
quiet
hours.
hours, I believe, are already listed as 10
Yeah,
PM to 8
Make
AM.
it 9.
You meant 9 to 8.
Paula wants to say something.
I do understand why there's quiet hours. I think that all neighbors, whether it's home share or not, should be courteous 24 hours. But 10 PM is too late for this neighborhood. I would rather see 9.
I'm totally agreeable with that. I used to live on Bell Drive, which is, I mean, right around the corner from here, and it is a quiet neighborhood. 9 o'clock is reasonable.
Yeah, we'll incorporate 9 PM to 8 AM. Unless you want to go to 9 to 9. Okay. So we have now 9 PM to 8 AM on this one.
Ready for a motion?
I think so. Motion to approve case number 15696 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exception, with the following modifications. Maximum number of guests shall be 7, maximum number of vehicles shall be 3, no on-street parking. Quiet hours are adjusted to be from 9 PM to 8 AM and for a term of 1 year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Vote. And you're approved.
Okay, very good.
Item number 19, case number 15698, an application of Melissa Atkinson on behalf of McCollin Appleton to allow home sharing at 4823 Northwest 72nd Street.
Hello, esteemed board members. My name is Melissa Atkinson. My address is 9900 Northwest Expressway, Yukon, Oklahoma 73099. We come before you for, case number 15698 for a home sharing application. Please let me know what you would like to know.
Just tell us a little bit about the property.
The property is located off of Northwest Expressway. It is classified as a condo. We call it a townhome, but I think that's pretty interchangeable. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. It has a front yard, a front patio, and 2-car garage.
You're asking for a maximum of 8 guests. How can you get there?
Well, I will admit that's pretty ambitious. And if I may explain how we arrived there, we have 5 children ourselves. When we travel, we prefer to stay in Airbnbs. It's more comfortable. Usually there's more than 1 bathroom as opposed to a hotel. With 5 children, we've traveled with family as well. But as I said, I think 8 is ambitious. How we got there, I'll explain. It is a 2-bedroom, queen beds in both of the bedrooms, a sleeper sofa, which is a queen size, and an air mattress. We don't anticipate that anybody would want to sleep on the air mattress. We had that because we have 5 kids, and we'd throw our kid on the air mattress and or the sleeper sofa. Also, we have, our children don't necessarily want to share beds, so we do have the excess air mattress there, understanding how children, young adults, can not want to share with their siblings. Not to say that 8 is where we want to stay based on the size of the property.
Rita, was there anybody who signed up? No.
No, you have the other sheet.
Okay. So was there anyone from the audience who'd like to speak? We have one.
Yes, sir. My name is Gary Bertram, and I represent 5 other owners along the same condos. And we definitely oppose the condo being turned into Airbnb. First off, the condos were meant to be a retirement home for older folks. There's not a driveway. There's 2-car garage. There's no on-street parking. The on-street parking is shared with the commercial hotels across the street. So the on-street parking is a problem. The owners of the other condos go in together to clean up the property across the street from these folks' property. So they are not, they're not participating in cleaning up the property as it is right now. So we are completely baffled why somebody would want to turn this into an Airbnb. We bought the property for ourselves, for our retirement. We're mainly older folks. And we don't want an Airbnb to live next door to us or live right next beside the same wall. We don't want that. We didn't buy the property for that intention, and we oppose this being put on our back to bring in because we didn't buy it that way. And I wouldn't think that any of the board members would want an Airbnb right next to you either. So we're having a choice. This is a meeting to discuss this. We are opposed to it. There's 5 of us now. We can get the rest of us up there. There's 32 condos right there. They're all owned by majority older folks, and we don't want it.
Anything for Mr. Bartram?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, it's only on-street parking? There's no alley in the back? You all,
There's an alley in back.
Okay.
You cannot park in the alley. The alley is a fire, where you can't park for fire trucks. You can't park right there. You're
Okay.
not supposed to park right there. People do park back there. You're not supposed to park back there. It's a fire easement. So
Is the garage accessible?
garage is very
Yes.
accessible for 2 cars.
And garage fob is available for occupants so that it can be utilized, absolutely.
It's not set up for Airbnb. It's set up for a couple, a retired couple. We're right down the street from Baptist Hospital. The owners that bought into the property in the last year bought it for that reason. Bought it because it's accessible to the hospital right down the street. And we're asking, this is a choice of Board of Adjustment agenda, so we are voicing our voices, and we don't want it. And we are voters, I guarantee it.
I would just like to add that it is the end unit. It doesn't accurately reflect on this diagram, but it is the very westernmost unit of the strip. They are 4-unit quadplexes, so each condo, townhome, there's 4 to each area. This is the most western unit. The next 2 are long-term rentals. I can tell you that this unit is in much better condition. It is maintained. We do have a lawn service on it. We are the property managers. The owner of the unit actually is on site as well. Since we're the property managers, that's why we're here for the special exception. But it is well maintained. It's probably one of the nicest ones.
Okay, we need to back up. It's not well maintained. The exit for the pavement that needs to be brought up to standard. There is a 6-inch gap in the pavement. They're not, the rest of us go together and take care of the property across the street from us, clean it up, mow it. They do not. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see a reason that we're here. I really don't.
Do you have a copy of the protest? It's a handwritten protest in there.
And I can address each one of the statements on here if that's preferred. I would like to declare that this section, this unit, the 4, they're not part of a homeowners association. That is not her property that he is referring to for maintenance, although we have decided that it does need to be taken care of because there is a gap. I do acknowledge what he's talking about. It's not our property. But we have looked at how to improve it because We believe that taking care of the surrounding area is important. Did you want me, would it be beneficial if I respond to the protest
You can,
statement?
yes.
Sure. Okay, parking, there is only garage parking, that is accurate, I did state the same. Nothing over 2 cars, that is accurate, and there is no driveway. Yes, it does look like that's a driveway, but as we've all stipulated, that's not, it's just a pass-through. Noise problems, I'm not sure what multiple renters are other than the 2 middle units. None of these neighbors are close to this property as far as the ones that are protesting it. The ones that are in that unit, they're not here. We talk with them. We're at the property often because we know the owner of the other end of the fourplex. They have our contact information. They have the owner's contact information. They're in constant contact. She shares the messages and everything, so we know that there is communication. We are more than happy to be part of that communication as well, but since you have the owner on site, that may be your quicker remedy. So I'm not sure what noise problems there are. I will also admit that we had proposed quiet hours at 11 p.m. based on the surroundings of the already existent occupants of the other units. I think that is also a little ambitious. I do believe that 10 o'clock is a more appropriate time, especially considering that you have the La Quinta and an extended stay literally across the street. I would hate for us to be part of that contribution to noise. We very much love this property and want to maintain that as well as our relationship with the other occupants and the other units. So as far as the noise, yes, we would very much want to be aware if we were, contributing to that. So I'm not sure that that's relevant to us at this time. Majority of the owners are owner occupied. I would come to disagree a little bit just with the fourplex right there. 2 of the 4 units are long-term rentals, and the 2 units on the end are owned by the same person. If you go through and look at the notification in part of our application, we did have to identify all of the qualified neighbors. I know notices were sent to them. If you look at our application, the majority of those notices went to other addresses, which to me indicates that the person who owns the property does not live there. So I would argue that out of the condo area, the 18 that are right there, one of them owns 2 units, so we knocked that down. 18, 7. I believe there were 8 to 9 that the notices were mailed to another address. So I would not agree with that statement. And if we're talking about a retirement community, unfortunately, the 2 units in the middle, they're young people. They're not retiring anytime soon. And if they are, I'd like to know what they're doing. So majority of condos are owner occupied. Let's see. The front street is already shared with commercial activity. We've been there multiple times. We're there on a weekly basis. I'm not sure what this commercial activity is referring to. I can't regulate that. I can't enforce that.
It's the City of Oklahoma City public street, so that's okay.
So I'm not sure how that has a relevance to me. I want to live in harmony with the neighbors. I take a lot of pride in this location and this property. Like I said, it is well maintained. My heart is poured into it. It is immaculate. You can walk into it. I love this place. This isn't entered in for an investment opportunity or to turn money. This is really meant to keep that in our family.
So please make sure that everyone that is signed up as a protester on the sheet has your information.
Absolutely. I know they have the owner's information, and like I said, more than happy to make sure that they have ours as well. And if there's any issue, We live, I know it says Yukon, we literally are, right across the street is Oklahoma City. We're 7 minutes away. You can map it, I gave you my address. I live locally.
So there's two other gentlemen behind you. Are they?
We're all together. We're the owners. Yeah. We're the owners, and we're old owners, and we didn't buy it to have an Airbnb next door to us.
Right.
We would not bought the property if the Airbnb was going to be next door to us. Jimmy bought one a year ago. He wouldn't have bought it if the Airbnb is going to be next door to us. Directly next door, right. You know, I don't understand why we're here if you're going to go ahead and say, okay, go ahead and come on in. I don't understand that. You know, we're here to voice our opinion. This is our opinion. You know, evidently, there's the posting grievance I put up there, there's 5 of us signed it. There's 5 owners. There's 1 owner. What's the deal? I don't understand this. It's not made to be a commercial investment. It's made to be rented out or owner occupied. 2 people. Marcus, you wouldn't want one right next door to you? Don? No. You know, so why put one next door to me? And there's no others in this grouping. This one little grouping is right all by itself. You know, there's 32 condos in this Northwest 72nd Street. And this Northwest 72nd, what you're gonna end up doing is doing just like the previous applicant before me, where you have these people up here bitching at you, saying it's gonna be too much noise. It is too much noise. They have a party tent in the backyard. You're gonna have the same thing here. You know, they're talking about renting it out to 8 people, 6 people, I don't know. But, you know, you're in an area in which are older retirees, and I don't see that.
Looking at the application, I think, as you can probably already tell, we're going to ask for no on-street parking, 2-car maximum, because that's what the garage allows.
I'm sorry. There's like a bad echo.
Oh, okay.
2 car, if you.
2-car maximum, no on-street parking. Normally, we use 2 people per room as a guide, right? So that would put you at 4. You've got a sofa bed or a couch. I think that we can get on board for 1 more. Total of 5. Is that kind of what you're thinking? And then quiet hours, normally we do 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. I'm just wondering, do 9 to 8 on that one, because we do want to be mindful of your neighbors to make sure that there's no noise, and for a term of 1 year. And so just so you know, the 1 year is let's give it a trial and see how they do.
Why?
Because that's what the city has allowed. It's not on us.
It doesn't allow this. I mean, this street's residential 1, you know, R1.
It's located, right, it's zoned R1, and to the
But
point
you're
that,
allowing it.
to the point that you said, I'm on my HOA at where I live, and I explained to them that if their neighbor came into this board and filled out a proper application, I would allow it. So just like he has in his neighborhood, and he has in his neighborhood. It's part of what we do, it's under our purview, and so we're following.
Talk to the city councilman, right?
Right.
And what's the phone number to action line? Is that what we need to call?
Yes, if there's ever a problem, right, and if they don't follow in the application, you
Well,
call
you
the
got,
action
you
center.
guys are creating the problem by allowing this. You realize that, right?
Well-
You guys are saying, okay, come on.
I know how it might seem that way, but it's a lot of times people come in here and they don't properly understand the history of how we got here. So short-term rentals were always allowed in Oklahoma City. It was only in recent years that the city came in and said, let's do something about it to regulate them. So if anything, the pendulum has actually swung your way in terms of saying, let's put some protections in place so that homeowners can come in and say, hey, this is an issue, this is a problem, put it under the purview of this board for us to hear those cases. But prior to that ordinance being passed, you could have a short-term rental and there was no one for you to go to. It simply wasn't spoken to. So I know how it might be frustrating. It may appear that, oh, well, this was set up just to approve these. It wasn't. They were already there and and it was the Wild West of short-term rental, if you will. So what we've done now is try to address that. We're getting better at it, and I say we just meaning the city in general. We're getting better at it, as you've heard us state.
Hey, do you ever say no?
We have.
You have.
We absolutely have.
Why would you say no?
If somebody is
Because this is a direct good deal. You know, 2 cars.
So if somebody manages or operates a short-term rental in a way that detracts or takes away from your ability to enjoy your home and where you live, then that would be the basis for saying no. If, from what I understand, these folks haven't yet began to operate,
Right.
so there's no history to look at there. So while we might have heard,
There was a history right down the street, that 3621 62nd Street was 12 blocks away from us. There's your history right there. You had people up here bitching at you guys.
yeah, I completely understand. But what we have to do here is we have to take into consideration what the complaints are, and if we think it's going to be likely that somebody can continue to operate in a way that's not going to take away from your ability to enjoy your home. So
It's going to take away from our ability to resell it.
well, unfortunately, that we don't have any data to support that. 2, that's not in the purview of this board. So again, I'm not downplaying your concerns. I'm just stating, I want to outline how we ended up here and exactly why it may appear that, oh, we're taking their side. It's not a taking somebody's side versus someone else's side. If you own a property, you could come in here with your property after filing the appropriate paperwork and submitting an application and say you want a short-term rental, and we couldn't rob you of that ability. We're going to oversee it and make sure that you're doing everything right and proper, but it would quickly get us into an area of overstepping into private property rights. And again, that's completely outside of what we're doing here. I just want to reiterate that it's not our goal to sit here and say, well, we're only on the side of folks who are investors and we don't care about the neighbors. So I understand that the optics may come off that way, but I assure you that's not the case.
Obviously, you understand that. I mean, it seems like that's what you're on the favor of. If they're an investor, they're going to come in here and talk to you guys and get a code number or whatever it takes to operate their Airbnb. You know, you're not saying no. This would be the most outlandish no because of the place to park a car, the position of the condo next to the other ones. It's right in line with the other condos.
Again, I understand the frustration, but those are things that we can't.
Yeah, but see, you don't live next door to it. Jimmy lives next door to it. Michael lives next condo group over from it. We don't want it.
Yeah, I completely get that. But that argument of
You're not getting that. There's something you would say no.
That argument of simply saying you don't want it is something that we don't have the ability to dictate that. That's why we say city council. It's not so that we can push you along.
It's not really a board of adjustment, it's a board of okay.
It is the city council is the governing body that will determine to what extent we allow home sharing in this city. So yes, they have a much broader spectrum of what they can do when it comes to home sharing.
Well, you need to change it from board of adjustment, board of okay.
That decision would still be made above us.
Is there anyone else would like to be heard on this case?
You ready?
Yeah.
Motion to approve case number 15698 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions with the following modifications. Quiet hours shall be set at 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. Maximum number of guests shall be limited to 5, a 2-car maximum with no on-street parking, and for a term of 1 year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll vote. And it passes. Good luck.
Item number 20, case number 15699 is a renewal application of Sherry Whitna to allow home sharing at 3009 Southwest 124th Street.
Good afternoon. My name is Cherie Whitna. I'm here for renewal for 3009 Southwest 124th. I have a 3-bedroom. It's been 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car, and a driveway that can have 4 cars, but two cars fit perfectly fine inside the garage. I've owned these duplexes and been doing the short-term rentals for, let's see, this is the second year that or second time that I've renewed. I believe that's right. And it's been, I have lawn people, I know all the neighbors across the street, they all have my number, I have their number. I talk to them every day, I live down the street, and I manage them, clean them. I've had no complaints, it's been a real positive thing, not only for me, but for the neighbors, because it's really well maintained. It's been, there's really no HOA, but I kind of tried to head up the HOA over there, and I got some new signs at the front because they were concrete, and I got someone to do those for us. So I'm doing things to make it better, and everyone's happy so far. Everything's been good. If there was any problems, I will be right on it, because I don't want any problems.
Thank you. I don't think anyone signed up to speak, and I don't think there's anyone here to speak from the audience. So
Now, my neighbors are really good.
you wanna-
They're really good. I know all of them. I've had them over to my dinner, for dinner. I've been to their house, so they're good people. Not just good people, it's a good relationship, and it's good for them. They like it. So,
Any
as
questions?
far as I know, everyone has said so.
I don't think so. 4-car maximum?
Yeah, that's fine on the parking. I was going to say that I have a king-size bed and 2 queens, and this is true for the other one. They're exactly the same. They're just flip-flop. And then I have an extra bed that pulls out in case somebody has a child. So that's 2, 4, 6, and then a 7th. But I don't know. Maybe there was one time I've had a child that used that. So we normally have 6, if we have it at all. Actually, that's not even right. It's not even normally 6. A lot of times, somebody that is a couple wants to rent the whole thing, and it's just 2 people. So anyway, that's maybe more info than you wanted, but.
I think that originally in the application, it probably didn't have the number of vehicles, and so we just wanted to add that to
Okay, yeah.
that. But I think everything else is.
There's enough room
good.
to not ever go into the street.
All right, so the only thing that I think I'm going to modify or just add is 4-car maximum with no on-street parking. I think that the rest of the application looks fine for the 5 years. And so I'm going to make a motion to approve case number 15699 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions, with the addition that it is a 4-car maximum with no on-street parking and for a term of 5 years.
Second?
Thank you. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. We will vote. Maybe.
Am I supposed to do something?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we'll vote. And you're approved.
Okay, item number 21, case number 15700 is a renewal application of Sherry Whitna to allow home sharing at 3015 Southwest 124th Street.
This is just, like I said, it's flip-flop, same thing, all the same info, right on the same side of the street.
Okay.
Same modification.
Yep, no one signed up to speak, and there's no one here.
Okay.
Same modifications?
Yep. All right. Motion to approve case number 15700 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions, with the addition to the application that it will be a 4-car maximum with no on-street parking for a term of 5 years.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. We'll vote. And you're approved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And item number 22 was deferred, 23 was deferred, 24 deferred, and 25 withdrawn, so we're at the end of our docket.
No citizens to be heard?
Yeah. No citizens to be heard, no board committees. Anything from the municipal counselor? She's good. Anything from you two?
Nope.
Are we to discuss the home share proposed changes? Are we supposed to do that here?
It's not on your agenda.
So we can't.
It comes to us for review, or it comes to us for recommendation?
It'll come to us after planning commission?
Okay.
Anytime. I'm looking at Sarah.
To be honest, I'm not sure which order the home sharing, if it'll go to planning commission first or here first. It kind of depends on our meeting dates. And as of right now, I believe it's scheduled to be introduced. It was going to be introduced next week at planning commission, but we're going to push it to August 8th. And then I think your home sharing would come in your second meeting in August to this board. But again, it's nothing is set so far.
Okay. And planning commission, we had a study session on it. I don't know how this board would be able to negotiate it or talk about it. So that was the question, I guess. Are we going to do it at
This board obviously has a lot more.
We know a little more about them.
You are in the weeds on home sharing, so yes.
Right. Right. So go back to, would we discuss it as an agenda item in the next meeting?
That's the question I have, yeah.
I mean, I just thought we'd discuss it before we got the changes.
I'll work with Rita. You can't discuss it unless you do it here in public, right, with a quorum.
Yeah, well, either one. I'd do it here. I just needed to know, we need to probably talk about it before we just, it reeks.
So Sarah and Cindy and I will get together and we'll come up with a way for you to get the information that you need to have to make a well-reasoned decision and recommendation about the.
We don't typically bring an ordinance to this board for a recommendation. That's typically the planning commission. But the city council remanded it to you, so we will work on ways to get your feedback.
And just real quick, as part of that recommendation or feedback that we will give to city council, do we touch on any portions of the administrative approval process?
I don't have a copy of well, nobody has a copy yet because we haven't done it yet. That can be discussed as a part of the process to see what role you play as a board and whether or not that's included as something that you review.
So I just don't think special exceptions will be done administratively.
Yeah, I think that's something, and we haven't gotten to that part of it yet. They have not gotten to that part of it yet. But that's certainly something that can be passed along, that you'd like a response to whether or not those kinds of reviews will be
There's like
administrative.
675 home share licenses with the city of Oklahoma City.
675 for this year?
No, in total.
Oh.
Is what I hear. And about 265 of those are special exceptions.
Okay.
So we hear about a third of them. That's what I thought too when I heard that number.
Special exceptions, okay.
Approved 200 of them today. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right. Seems that way. But,
Okay.
so, with that, we're adjourned.